Hello again, back with some more Evolve gameplay footage. In this video I'm going to be looking at the recent changes to the marketing for Evolve. It was previously priced at around £40 or $39.99 more specifically, and it's now been changed to a free-to-play model as of the 7th of July 2016. I think the reasoning for this is fairly obvious for anyone who was aware of what was going on in the community, or rather the lack of what was going on. The community itself had dwindled fiercely. It went from thousands of online players to hundreds in a matter of months. It became increasingly difficult to get into games with more than one or two players, and it was just atrocious. The AI aren't the worst I've seen in any game, but they're definitely not competent enough for this style of game, especially with how strong the monster's abilities can be, especially on the hunter side, or how incompetent they can be as playing as a monster and unfun because it's just too easy to just destroy the team. I think from the game itself, it was a very good marketing tactic to change to this free-to-play model. It gives more people accessibility to it, and adding microtransactions, even though it may irritate people who have paid for the retail price, it's going to be better for the game in the long run regardless. Now, as someone who has bought the game at its retail price, I can say that the Founders Pack is probably not worth £40. In fact, it is just straight up not worth £40. Maybe within the microtransactions it may be, for all I'm aware of. I haven't actually cross-checked the prices of all the bits and bobs that I've received, but I'm still grateful for it. Whereas I've seen a lot of people taking to Facebook and Twitter and demanding from the studio to give back their money, which I don't think is right. For a number of reasons, they're just not obligated to, and expecting them to give you back your money after it's gone into the development of the game and changes and maintaining the studio itself, it's not good. It's not good for business. It's a bad image, because if they pay back some people, they would have to pay back everyone. It's just not something they could do. And although I can understand the frustrations, anyone who's got any sense of marketing, it's not something that's feasible. And the reason I am grateful for the Founders Pack itself is because they aren't obligated to do it. I'm not saying it's good enough. It's probably far from not good enough. I'm not particularly satisfied, but nevertheless, it's better to get something than nothing, especially when you put so much in. And with the boost to experience and to the credits, I can actually buy DLC that I didn't previously own because I did not buy in for the full season pass. So for me, I think it's still not so bad. But for someone who paid for the season pass and bought the game, I think this change would be a bit too much, because there's nothing to unlock anymore. And then by the time you've accumulated more currency as someone who has bought the game but not the season pass, you're easily going to pick up all the characters that they're going to release. You're probably just going to buy them in a stockpile, because you've already unlocked half the weapon skins and 3 monsters and 3 hunters. But regardless, for the community itself, it's still just good. The player count of making this video is currently at 28k active players, which from 500 to 28k, you can definitely see the massive jump and the improvement. It's made the game fun again for me. I've gone back to it. I thought that maybe it might have been too late, in all honesty, because this game has been out for a long time and this free-to-play model was probably needed at the start, but regardless, it seemed to have made a bit of a comeback, and I'm just hoping they can sustain it and keep it going, because the game isn't bad. The game is quite fun. It is enjoyable. The content is enjoyable. And now it's free to play, it's going to be enjoyable to a lot more people than it ever was going to be at its retail price. The problem with these online only games is that as soon as the community dies, that's it. The game is pretty much worthless, regardless of whether it has like a sub-adequate single player mode or not, which, in all honesty, this game is definitely lost. Previously, there was a campaign mode, which meant that you could play by yourself within more of like a story-orientated fashion. That's been completely removed from the game, and I'm somewhat curious as to whether they're going to re-release it or not. And I've got a feeling that they're not going to, which it's kind of strange. They've removed maps and they've removed mutators. Sorry, and weather changes. So like, or there was all kind of crazy weather and storms and etc. That's all been taken out, and I'm feeling that's going to maybe be put back in later. But I hope they don't try and sugarcoat it as something brand new, because it's going to be something that's already pre-existed, and trying to, you know, repackage something and release it as a brand new item would be a bit scummy. But it is open. You just got to hope that they'll do the right thing. But anyway, that's all I wanted to touch up on that at any rate. I've also noticed that this change is only relevant to PC users, and people who own a console, such as Xbox and PlayStation, are still affected by the low player base and other things, and I'm not sure whether a free-to-play model, how that would work on consoles. I imagine it would have to just go on like the Microsoft Marketplace or PSN Store or whatever it is for PlayStation. I'm not well expert in this, because I've just never had a PlayStation other than my old PlayStation 2. But regardless, I'm getting sidetracked from that. So to answer it, for plain and simply, right at the end, is the Founders Pack worth it? The obvious answer is, it's just not. Should you be happy with it? It just definitely comes up to your person, whether you think it's good enough or not. It doesn't really matter, because that's all you're getting, unfortunately. They're going to get in a lot more people, a lot more revenue from this free-to-play than they ever would have as a game itself. So really, a couple of people complaining isn't going to do anything, and I'm sorry, but that will never make a difference. There isn't a large enough number, not as many people bought this as people are going to play on the free-to-play model. It's going to be a microcosm, and they're happily just going to ignore that worst-case scenario. All I can say is, just, if you've bought this game and you liked it, just enjoy the fact that it's something you can play once again, because I would much rather have something shoved back in my face that I've paid for than have it just completely disappear with no meaning whatsoever, and just being £40 that I just wasted because it's become enjoyable from a lack of player base. And really, that's about it. There's not very much more to say on the topic. You can either be happy that you got something, or you can be miserable because you got something and it wasn't good enough. But at the end of the day, there'll be no difference made. Here's hoping this video turned out a lot better than the last one. If anyone has anything to say about this video, or would like me to touch up on anything else that I mentioned, or just correct me on anything, please feel free just to pop it in the comments and I'll happily look through it. If you've got a way through to this video, then thank you for watching, and if you liked it, please drop a like and subscribe, I guess, if you want more of my crap and listening to my nasally voice. But anyway, regardless, thanks for watching, have a good night folks, I appreciate you very much.